Jude Bellingham is now the most expensive English player of all time. He's just joined Real Madrid for £115 million with a contract till 2029. In this video, I'll break down what it means for Jude Bellingham, where it leaves Real Madrid, and of course, the actual money in this transfer. We have to talk about that. It's a symbolic amount of money for someone as talented as Jude Bellingham. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. I will be covering the Champions League final coming up. I will be doing my preview tomorrow and a few other bits of content around the game on Saturday. I'm absolutely shitting myself. But we should probably start with the Champions League. Real Madrid got absolutely smashed by Man City, 5-1 in the Champions League semi-final. They've lost Benzema. They've got Ancelotti, whether he stays or not. They lost the league to Barcelona, a young side, a side in transition who've got a young manager. So obviously, the Perez's of the world, the higher ups at Real Madrid, they looked at those two situations and have gone very, very quick and very bold into the market and signed Jude Bellingham. Later in the video, I'll talk about sort of more my thoughts on Jude Bellingham. But as an overview, Real Madrid, one of the great institutions, if not the biggest football club in the world for a lot of people, they just got smashed by the new money Man City side, with all due respect, the side that's young, the side that's got Erling Haaland, De Bruyne, Phil Foden, Ruben Diaz. And then again, obviously, as I said, Barcelona as well. Lost to Barcelona in the league. So going out and signing Jude Bellingham is a massive statement for the rest of European football. It means that they are gearing up to be a force in European football to the same extent they have been for the last 10 years, for the next 10 years themselves. The deal goes on till 2029, which is obviously a huge 6.5-year deal. I think it is something like that. And it makes Jude Bellingham the jewel in the Real Madrid crown. Now, they've still got a lot of work to do, you'd argue, Real Madrid. I still think they need a centre forward. If that's Harry Kane, then suddenly they go straight, whatever happens in the Champions League final, if City win it or not, Real Madrid probably go back to being favourites next year with that squad, especially if Ancelotti's managing that. I mean, it's incredible. We have to talk about the wealth of quality in that midfield for Real Madrid. Is it the best group of midfielders ever collected at a young age in football history? Maybe. It's getting right up there. You've got Camavinga, who a lot of people could be a generational French talent. Generational. Then you've got Tchouameni, more of a defensive powerhouse midfielder. Again, people are calling him the new wave of defensive midfielders. Obviously, he scored a world-class goal against us in the World Cup. For me, as a City fan, I'm glad he didn't play more against us in the Champions League. Then you got Valverde, he's world-class, in my opinion. He's a world-class operator. He's helped Real Madrid already win a Champions League. And you've still got Modric and Kroos sticking about. I know Modric has been offered a deal to the Saudi Arabian League. I think everyone has been in the last 2 weeks. I've been offered a deal to the Saudi Arabian Power League. Didn't quite work out for me. I'm staying in England. But I think Modric and Kroos looks like they're going to stay as well. And then you throw in Jude Bellingham. Now, what does this transfer mean for him? For £115 million, you're buying a midfielder who's borderline 20 years old, essentially. It's absolutely incredible. It says, firstly, that Jude Bellingham is a prodigious generational talent. There aren't many like him that get that kind of money spent on them, especially a midfielder. It's different if you're Mbappe and you score a load of goals for Monaco and you go to PSG with guaranteed goals. Bellingham isn't that kind of player, even though his goals and assists this season are absolutely fantastic for Dortmund. They nearly won the league with him in midfield. Jude Bellingham, this is a commentary on how good he is. I think he's a 1 in a 10-year kind of player. I think he is a generational midfielder. I think he could go on to be one of the most talented midfielders to ever play for England. I think he could surpass the likes of Gerrard, Lampard. I think he surpasses close to the kind of ceiling of a Brian Robson for me. He's got a Bobby Charlton level quality about him. Now, obviously, it's different generations, but we're at that level with Jude Bellingham for me. We're at that level. Now, of course, injuries, of course, development can change. Look at someone like Dele Alli, for example, of course. But as an England fan looking on, if it can't be Man City, then I'd want it to be Real Madrid. I don't want him to be going to Man United. It's toxic. I don't want him going to Chelsea. Even Bayern Munich is it's a bit of a plateau. It's a little bit of a sideways step. You're going to guarantee win the league, but are you going to be challenged? Are you going to be pushed? Look at Leroy Sané, Serge Gnabry, Joshua Kimmich. Some of these players, they're fantastic, but not quite kicking on, not quite creating the legacy, the dynasty that I think they'd want. For me, it's either one of the big clubs in England or Barcelona, Real Madrid for me. I think Bayern Munich, maybe one of the Italian clubs, slightly off of that, in my opinion. and PSG. So going to Real Madrid is that top level move. He's going to be playing Champions League football season in, season out, guaranteed, competing for the highest honours. You're going to get an array of world-class managers going through the door, managers that bring success. And I think Jude Bellingham, I think he acts like a 30-year-old. He doesn't act like a 20-year-old to me. I think he's going to go there and thrive. And maybe there is something to be said about the fact that if you come back to the Premier League, the speculation on him, the media scrutiny, especially if, look, I think City were the only option to buy him. If City weren't 100% committed, weren't ready to offer £150 million early in the transfer window like Real Madrid, then suddenly, again, all you can do is you can't go to Liverpool, they're not going to pay it. So you go to Man United, it's toxic. You've got a dead stadium, dead owners, change of ownership. Real Madrid offers the opportunity to play in a beautiful side. You've got these four midfielders around you. You've got experience with Modric and Kroos who could stay. You've got a back line of Rudiger, Courtois, and then a front line that could include Harry Kane, Vinicius, Rodrigo. It's an exceptional side, and the fact that they lost 5-1 on aggregate to Man City, it will be a test bed for the next generation of Real Madrid players coming through, and Bellingham will come, and he'll be at the heart of it. It's going to be a beautiful opportunity for him. I think the league actually represents a little bit of a softer league in terms of physicality. Technically incredible, of course. But Jude Bellingham will go there. He's not going to get smashed. He's not going to get knocked. He's not going to get these big injuries that you see with some Premier League players. It's going to be more of a softer test bed of a league for him to operate in. And then you're looking at it by the age of 24, which is 4 years from now, 2027. Jesus Christ, I'm getting old. He'll still, in his 24, 25, 26th year on this planet, be in the world where he might want to go to Man City. He might want to go to a newly galvanised Manchester United with different ownership in the future. But right now, Real Madrid offers the best opportunity for him to play the football at the highest level, win things, and of course have that kind of... I think it's the big factor for Jude Bellingham is he's a leader. He wants to go out, he wants to dominate football pitches, he wants to talk up his teammates, he wants to see him backing people on the pitch. I've seen it against City. He's played against us 4 times, I think it is. The way he galvanises his teammates, the way he learnt German and was so willing to engage and communicate and be a character. He wasn't just a talented young kid going from Birmingham to Dortmund. He was trying to be part of something. I think going to Real Madrid, he'll be looking at the annals of history, some of the players that he'll be following, including the likes of the living legends that are still there in Kroos and Modric. He's the kind of character, it's not just about rocking up and being talented and being quiet and modest. He'll want to go there and take the weight of Real Madrid on his shoulders. Now, whether that happens or not, there'll be a big debate. But I think Jude Bellingham's got the mental approach, he's got the leadership skills, and then lastly, most importantly, he's a world-class midfielder. From what I've seen, I saw him at 17 in the quarter-final against City. He can control a midfield with passing and moving, keeping it simple. He's got long-range passing, like, unbelievable. He's got the legs and the physicality to get into the box and score big goals. Defensively, he can bully anyone off the field. He's the reincarnation of Steven Gerrard. Obviously, Gerrard's not passed away, in terms of playing. And you look at Gerrard, I think there are moments where he wasn't as astute as Bellingham. He wasn't as technically keeping it simple, and that might have been down to the generation he was playing in. But Jude Bellingham is technically so gifted. That's why Man City were so desperate for him. And Liverpool, Jurgen Klopp, Thiago Alcantara's playing at Liverpool. Look at Rodri at Man City. He's at that level. You could argue he's better than Rodri for a lot of people. Some people would argue that. He's that good, in my opinion. 150 million quid, the most expensive Englishman of all time. One of the most expensive transfers in Real Madrid history. It's a big gamble. I think it's as close to a sure thing as it can be for 150 million quid. If they get 6 years out of him to the level he's already at, it'll be an unbelievable bit of business. What's that, less than 20 million quid a year? It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Very keen to see what you think in the comments down below. Obviously, subscribe to the channel if you're new. We'll be covering the Champions League final approaching very, very rapidly.